Peace to the 12, man. Y'all see the title, and I didn't really know what I was going to title this video because this is me responding to a comment. And we're going to be touching on multiple different topics, but I decided to go with you heathens cannot run from this belt, man. You heathens cannot run from this belt. What I mean by that is, ain't no way around this judgment that's coming, man. The nations are going to pay for what they did to the children of Israel. That's all throughout the scriptures. But anyway, I did a video a day ago called "The First Images of Christ Are Black," and I had one of these guys on my comment section. He said what I've heard a million times, which is basically color doesn't matter, brother. All right, we're just all one in Jesus Christ. Yeah. So if color didn't matter, why the hell did y'all lie for all this year? But anyway, so he left a comment. This guy's name, Safeguard Your Soul, which I responded to that comment. And we're going to go through what he said piece by piece and break it down. And that'll be the video. So he says, an increasing number of people are putting emphasis on their fleshly roots, heritage, and it's fostering a false supremacy. To one such group, the following message was given. So a false supremacy and putting emphasis on fleshly roots, right, and a heritage. Well, it's not a false supremacy because according to the Bible, the Israelites are superior in the eyes of the Most High in comparison than any other nation. Supremacy means the state of condition of being superior to all others in authority, power, and status. So let's prove that in the scriptures, right? Deuteronomy 14, verse 1 and 2. Ye are the children of the Lord Yahawah your God. Ye shall not cut yourselves nor make any bonds between your eyes for the dead. For thou art an holy people. Right? The word holy means set apart, separate, sacred. Right? Meaning different from others. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord Yahawah thy God. And the Lord Yahawah hath chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself above all the nations that are upon the earth. Wait, above all the nations that are upon the earth? Wait, superior to all others in authority, power, and status? That sounds like supremacy to me. Let's get other verses. Deuteronomy 7 and 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord Yahawah thy God. The Lord Yahawah thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So he says it again. The Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you because you were more in number than any people before you were the fewest of all people, but because the Lord loved you. All right, who he loved? The Israelites. And because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, meaning Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. The Lord brought you out of the mighty hand and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. All right, let's get another version that speaks on supremacy. 1 Peter 2 and 9. But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people, that ye should show forth the praises of him who hath called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. Right? So it says a chosen generation, right? What's the other version of that? English Standard Version. Chosen race. Berean Literal Bible. Chosen race. So, And he's talking about what? Of course, again, the Israelites. All right. Let's get, I got two more examples. Yeah. Let's get Amos 3 and 1. Hear this word that the Lord Yahawah hath spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying. So this is directed to who? The children of Israel. Now check this out. You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquity. So we're in the position that we're in. We're at the bottom of society because of the bad things that we have done. All right. But he was dealing with the Israelites. In the same way that we're under the curses, he's going to turn around and put those curses on the heathen, which I'm going to get in this video later on. But let's get one more and then we'll move on to the next thing he said in his comment. Right. Let's go to Psalms 147 and 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord Yahawah. So if you're not the Israelites, particularly if you're not of the elect of the nation of Israel, meaning the chosen within the chosen, the elect, then you're not going to understand the statutes and the judgments, right? You're not going to understand. This is why I tell people all the time. I tell my brother this in real life. I don't get into a back and forth with a heathen in a real life. Like I'll do it in a video because it's for edification's sake for the people listening. But in real life, I don't get in a back and forth between who's right and wrong in the scriptures, because to put it quite simply, that's like chemists arguing with a fifth grader about chemistry, right? That's like an astrophysicist arguing with a fifth grader about astrophysics. Why the hell would I do that? He's not going to understand it. All right, and that's the same way it is with these scriptures. And that's why these people that try to get into the scriptures and think they know what they're talking about, they're bugged the hell out, and they don't know what the hell they're talking about, and they get cut. And then they get mad, and then they leave. But anyway, with that, so that's that supremacy thing. You're putting importance due to not being born again. You know what you're talking about. This means you are not saved. You are not a child of God, which has nothing to do with your earthly heritage. It has everything to do with that. The children of God are the Israelites. As a matter of fact, the word Israel literally means prince of God, prince of power. All right, he that wrestles with God, right? That's what Israel translates to. Yashar Allah, prince of God. But, anyway. Where was we at? Wherefore, herefore, know we no man after the flesh, yea, though we have known Christ after the flesh, yet not henceforth know we him no more. All right. The reason people have to be born again is because we have our people, Israelites, because that's who it's talking about. Our people have to be born again because our people have fallen away, and now they do what? They worship things or they celebrate holidays like Christmas, Thanksgiving, right? They do heathen traditions. All right. That's why they have to be born again. They have to come back to the covenant that we made with yahawah, yahawashi. That's what it's talking about, right? And I've already done a lot of videos on that, so we're going to move along with that. Then he says, for there is no respect of persons with God, Romans 2:11. So what does that mean, there's no respect of persons with God? Let's break that down. What does it mean God doesn't respect persons? Does that mean that, does that mean what he's trying to imply that it means? Oh, yeah, God doesn't care about your nationality. He doesn't care about any of that, it's just that. Is that what he's talking about? No. When he talks about he has no respect to persons, that means that he's not going to show you no type of favoritism when he goes into a judgment, right? It doesn't matter if you're rich, right? Or if you're poor. If you commit murder, you're going to be judged for that. It's real simple, right? And let's prove that. Let's go to James 2:9. But if ye have respect to persons, ye commit sin and are convinced of the law as transgressors. Then we go to 1 John 3:4. Because what is sin? 1 John 3:4, whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law. So sin is literally when you break the law. And when it says that God doesn't respect a person, that's because in the law, we're not supposed to have respect of persons. That's Leviticus 19:15. So this is in reference to the law when he said that. And I'll prove that in a minute. Leviticus 19:15. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty. But in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor. Right? So we're not supposed to respect the person because they're mighty. We're not supposed to not have respect for someone because they're poor. That's what it's talking about. All right. And we know the Most High doesn't care about that thing. All right. We know what? Saul was our king. And then David was chosen over Saul, even though Saul was the tall man. He had the looks, he had all that, but he wasn't the one. But either way, they're both Israelites. But because in the law, that's what it's talking about. It tells you this in Deuteronomy 1:17 as well as Deuteronomy 16:19, which we'll get right now. Ye shall not respect persons in judgment, but ye shall hear the small as well as the great. Ye shall not be afraid of the face of man, for the judgment is God's. And the cause that is too hard for you, bring it unto me, and I will hear it. So we're not supposed to have respect to persons in judgment. Deuteronomy 16:19. Thou shalt not rest judgment. Thou shalt not respect persons. Neither take a gift, for a gift doth blind the eyes of the wise and pervert the words of the righteous. Right? So it tells us over and over again not to be respected persons, and that's what it's talking about. All right? It's talking about the law. All right? Which was given to who? The law was given to the Israelites. And just to prove that that's what it's in reference to, because let's go back to that. To prove that's what it's in reference to, he said, for there is no respect to persons with God, Romans 2:11. Well, we know that's what it's referring to because we learned that the Most High has respect for the Israelites. Let's prove that. Let's go to Exodus chapter 2, verse 24. And God heard their groaning, and God remembered his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and with Jacob. And God looked upon the children of Israel, and God had respect unto them. So he had respect to who? The children of Israel, right? Because of the covenant that he made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He respected that. Let's go to Leviticus 26:9. For I will have respect unto you, and make you fruitful, and multiply you, and establish my covenant with you. Respect unto who? The Israelites. So that's what it's talking about. Like I said, people like to quote things. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. All right? This respect is in reference to judgment. All right? Because I just showed you examples where the Most High said he had respect. He had respect for the children of Israel, right? So let's go to the next thing that he said. We're just breaking this down piece by piece. Then right here, he quoted Galatians 3:28. There is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither bond nor free, there is neither male nor female, for ye are all one in Christ, yahawashi, and Hamashiach yahawashi, right? So what does that mean, right? What does it mean there's no difference between a Jew nor a Greek, right? What does that mean? I've done a video on this before. We're going to get into it again. Why is there no difference between a Jew and a Greek? Why is there no difference between a Jew and a Greek? Well, I'll explain it. All right? I'll explain it. All right? We read Galatians 3:28, and it talks about there's neither Jew nor Greek, there's neither bond nor free, there's neither male nor female, for you're all one of Mashiach yahawashi. Then you go to Romans 10:12, and it says, for there's no difference between the Jew and the Greek, for the same Lord over all is rich, all that call upon him. And then you go to Romans 1:16, for it says, for I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believeth, to the Jew first, and also to the Greek. Right? So why is it focusing on the Greek? Right? Now you would say, oh, it's just talking about the Greeks, to show you that they can all make it in. That's not what it's talking about. All right. And there's a reason why I said there's no difference between a Jew nor a Greek, and it didn't say a Jew or all heathens, or it didn't say a Jew or a Moabite or Ammonite. There's a reason that is worded the way that it is on purpose. All right. And we're going to go into the history lesson because I'm going to show you why. All right. The story, we're about to learn about the story of how the Jews became Greek. Right? All right, first we hear about us getting sold to the Grecians. That's in Joel 3:6, where it says, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. Right? Now we're going to go into the Apocrypha, which was originally a part of what? The King James Bible. But let's say you didn't even believe it. Let's say you didn't believe in the Apocrypha. It wouldn't matter for this case because secular history tells you as well that the Jews were converted to Greek customs. So whether you want to believe the Apocrypha or not, it really doesn't matter for this video. Even though, of course, the Apocrypha is true. It was originally part of the King James Bible originally anyway. And it was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. But nonetheless, the Apocrypha was part of the King James Bible for 274 years until it was removed in 1885. A portion of these books were called deuterocanonical books by some entities such as the Catholic Church. All right, so they did that, and I did a whole history on that. It's called Read This Red Book on my channel. You can learn about that. So anyway, we're going to learn about the Hellenization and how the Jews became Greeks. All right, because that's who it's talking about when it says there's no difference between Jew or Greek. That's what it's talking about. All right, so let's go to 2 Maccabees chapter 6, and I'll start at verse 1, but we're going to read all of it. So it says, not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of their God. Yeah, sounds like Christianity, right? What is modern day Christianity saying? Oh, don't worry about following the laws, right? Just believe in Jesus and you'll. So nothing has changed, right? They want you to depart from your laws and not live after the laws of God. And to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter Olympus, and that in Gerizim of Jupiter, the defender of strangers, as they did desire that dwelt in the place. The coming in of this mischief was sore and grievous to the people, for the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles, who dallied with harlots and had to do with women within the circuit of the holy places. And besides that, brought in things that were not lawful. All right, because that's what's happened when you allow these heathens to fellowship, man. They ruin every damn thing. But anyway, the altar also was filled with profane things which the law forbiddeth, Now check this out. This is the point. This is the point that I'm making. This is how you know a lot of Jews became Greeks. Right? This is 2 Maccabees 6 and 5. The altar was also filled with profane things which the law forbiddeth. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient fasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. So it wasn't even lawful. All right, it was illegal for a Jew to profess himself to be one. So what the hell you think he became? He became a Greek. That's why there's no difference between a Jew or a Greek. All right, and this is why I believe they took the Apocrypha out. Because if you read the Apocrypha and you get into the New Testament, you start to understand, wait a minute, who are these Greeks it's talking about? All right, it's talking about the Israelite foreigners, the Israelites who were scattered among these other nations, who were living like the other nations because they had been Hellenized, they had been heathenized. Whatever heathen place they were at, they started to follow after them. Period. And that's why it's the case. And in the day of the king's birth, every month, they were brought up bitter, constrained to eat the sacrifices. And when the fast of Bacchus was kept, the Jews were compelled to go in a procession of Bacchus carrying ivy. Moreover, there went out a decree to the neighbor cities of the heathen by the suggestion of Ptolemy against the Jews, that they should observe the same fashions and be partakers of their sacrifices. So in other words, you got to do everything we have to do as Greeks under Ptolemy. And whoso would not, check this out, 2 Maccabees 6 and 9, and whoso would not conform themselves to the manners of the Gentiles should be put to death. Then might a man have seen the present misery. So guess what? It was illegal for us to profess to be a Jew, and it was illegal for us to not follow the customs of the Greeks. And if we did so, they would put us to death. So that's how we became Hellenized. That's how we became Greeks. And that's why there's no difference between a Jew nor a Greek, because the Greek it's talking about is the Hellenized Jew who is also an Israelite. Period. All right? Let's get some more, though. Let's get some more. I got more. Oh, look at this, man. I want to freeze up on me. All right, let's get, where are we at? Start at 2 Maccabees 4, and I'll start at, what is it, 9? 4 and 9. 2 Maccabees 4 and 9. Besides this, he promised to assign 150 more if he might have license to set him up a place for exercise and for the training up of the youth in the fashions of the heathen. So our youth were getting trained in heathen fashion. And to write them to Jerusalem by the name of Antiochus, which when the king had granted and he had gotten into his hand the rule, he forthwith brought his own nation to Greekish fashion. See that? And the royal privileges granted a special favor to the Jews by the means of John, the father of Ptolemaeus, who went ambassador to Rome for amity and aid. He took away, and putting down the governments which were according to the law, he brought up new customs against the law. For he built gladly a place of exercise under the tower itself, and brought the chief young men under his subjection, and made them wear a hat. All right? So they taught us in heathen fashions. They taught things against our law. Right? This is how we became Hellenized. This is how we became Greeks. Okay? In this, when I've already mentioned it in this video, but this is Hellenization. What is Hellenization? After the death of Alexander, some city-states came under Greek influence and were thus Hellenized. The Hellens, therefore, were not necessarily ethnic Greeks, as we know them today. So you had Greeks who were not ethnically Greek, but they were still called Greeks. Why? Because they had been Hellenized and they followed after the manner of the Greeks, right? And this included Assyrians, Egyptians, Jews, Arabs, and Armenians who were Hellenized, among others. So you have to understand, Greeks was a multicultural thing, right? Much like America is today, how you can be Asian American, African American, right? Mexican American, right? It's called cultural assimilation, the process in a minority group of culture comes to resemble society's majority group. Assume the values, behaviors, and beliefs of another group, whether fully or partially. They got Hellenized. You have to understand that. All right? Same thing happens in America. It's called Americanization. Activities that were designed to prepare foreign-born residents of the United States for full participation in citizenship. They were Americanized, right? Rather through re-educating the Negro or through American Indian boarding schools, right? Where the primary objective was quote unquote civilizing or assimilating Native American children and youth into Euro-American culture. All right? This is the same shit that's going on now. Hellenization, now it's Americanization. All right? So you have to understand that. Now we have to learn about Hellenistic Judaism, right? See if I'm still recording. Bet. Now we have to learn about Hellenistic Judaism. Traditionally, Hellenistic Judaism was a designation for Judaism in the Greek-speaking world, including those Jews who spoke Greek and adopted, to some extent, a Greek way of life, right? They adopted a Greek way of life. Who did this? Jews, and they learned the Greek language. Hellenistic Jews were Greek-speaking Jews of the diaspora, right? So you have to understand that, man. And this is even in the Blue Letter Bible. Check this out. Hellenistas, Hellenist, or Greek-speaking Jew, a Grecian. Jews born in foreign lands and speaking Greek. So every time when you hear the word Greek, it don't mean it's talking about an actual Greek. And when I mean an actual Greek, I mean an ethnic Greek. That's not what it's talking about. All right? The Grecians is mentioned through Acts 9 and 29, Joel 3 and 6, Acts 6 and 1, Acts 11 20. All right? Now check this out. Look at this word Greek. Eastern Bible Dictionary. Greek. One who speaks Greek is a foreign Jew opposed to a home Jew who dwelt in Palestine. Right? So, yes, you had Greeks who were just Jews. All right? Like I said, you can't allow these people to try to Jedi mind trick you, man. Into thinking, oh, wow, I understand there's no Jew or Greek. Yeah, those Greeks it's talking about in that instance are the Israelites, man. And that's why there's no difference. Because we have to let them into the fold. We have to let them come back into being. We have to let them come back into their identity because it had been stripped from them. It had been made illegal to them. That's why we had to graft them back in. All right? And here's an example of the Apostle Paul being a Roman, right? Meaning what? A Roman citizen. All right? He had Roman citizenship. But we all know that he was what? He was a Benjamite. He was an Israelite. All right? Acts 22 and 25. And as they bound him with tongs, Paul said unto the centurion that stood by, is it lawful for you to scourge a man that is a Roman and uncondemned? Then the chief captain came and said unto him, tell me, art thou a Roman? He said, yeah. So he said, yeah, I'm a Roman. But guess what? We know that Paul was what? He was an Israelite. Romans 11 and 1. I say then, hath God cast away his people? God forbid. For I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. See that? So yeah, like I said, he was a Roman citizen, just like you have Asian Americans, you have African Americans. All right? You read about how Timothy's father was a Greek. Does that mean his father was an Edomite? No. His father was a Greek-speaking Jew. All right? He was a Hellenized Jew. That's what it means. All right? And you also have people that willingly did this as well. You read about that in 1 Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 10 and 11. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been a hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. In those days went there out of Israel a wicked man who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So our people chose to make covenants with these other nations, man. All right? To make their life easier. You see that shit now. You got niggas doing that right now who I think are taking deals, trying to confuse the sheep, which I'll probably do a video on, and most of y'all probably know who I'm talking about anyway. All right? But it don't matter because I probably will do a video on it, Lord willing. But so yeah, and guess what? Our Hellenization and heathen identities links up with the curses of Deuteronomy, but we will be saved from it. Yeah, we'll be saved from it. And this goes back to the curses. It always goes back to the curses when we talk about these things, man. All right, let's go to Deuteronomy 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord yahawah thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So, this is the curses of Deuteronomy 28, a very famous verse that we teach people, right? Well, guess what was among one of these curses? You have Deuteronomy 28 and 64. It says what? And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people. So we're scattered where? Amongst all people. From one end of the earth even on to the other. And there, so once you're there, what are you going to do? Thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. So once we're scattered amongst all these people, what are we going to do? We're going to start serving other gods. We're going to start believing in false gods. Keep their ceremonies, right? That's what we're going to do. That was part of what? The curses of Deuteronomy. All right, so that's why when you read in 1 Corinthians 12 and 2, it says, ye know that ye were Gentiles carried away onto these dumb idols, even as you were led. Yeah, that's pertaining to the curses. We were led to these other nations, and we were carried away, and we started worshiping dumb idols. We became just like the Gentiles. All right, another Deuteronomy verse that speaks about this is Deuteronomy 4 and 27. Right? It says what? It's 27 through 30. Deuteronomy 4 and 27 through 30. And the Lord yahawah shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither the Lord yahawah shall lead you. And there ye shall serve gods, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see nor hear nor eat nor smell. So this is what happened to us. We were carried away amongst the nations, left few in number, right? We were led there. But check this out, right? This is important. Now this is what happens after that. This is Deuteronomy 4 and 29. But if from thence thou shalt seek the Lord Yahweh thy God, thou shalt find him. If thou seek him with all thy heart, with all thy soul, when thou art in tribulation, and all these things are come upon thee, even in the latter days, if thou turn to the Lord Yahweh thy God, and shall be obedient unto his voice. Right? So he's going to pull us up out of this if we turn to the Most High our God, right? That's the point. Be obedient unto him. This is in the latter days, right? This is during the time when we're evangelizing. This is during the time where we're teaching the gospel to what? Our people that are scattered among all these other nations. And some of our people even look like the other nations, but their seed goes back to Abraham. Nonetheless, we're out here speaking this message to whom? To the Israelites, to whom may hear or forbear, because it's really only for the elect. All right, you're going to have some of our own people who are not the elect, and they're not going to get it. And they're going to reject the truth. Any of you that have been in this for any long amount of time, you already know everybody didn't get it. You already know that. So let's continue on. Talks about this also in Ezekiel 37 and 21. It says, and I say unto them, thus saith the Lord Yahweh God, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whither they be gone, and will gather them on every side, and bring them into their own land. So we're going to get extracted from among these heathen and brought back to our own land, our promised land. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be the king to them all, and they shall be no more two nations. It's talking about the kingdom of Israel and the kingdom of Judah. The northern and the southern kingdom will be as one. Neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all. Neither shall they defile themselves anymore with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions, but I will save them out of all their dwelling places wherein they have sinned, and I will cleanse them, so they shall be my people, and I will be their God. So notice he says what? He's going to pull us from among the heathen, right, where we've been gone. And we're going to stop serving these idols. Now, didn't I talk about that in 1 Corinthians 12? You were Gentiles carried around the dumb idols. That's what it's talking about, man. All right. Let's go one more. Let's get Baruch chapter 2. Verse 1 through 7. Let's just read it all. So check this out. Therefore, the Lord hath made good his word, which he pronounced against us, and against our judges that judged Israel, and against our kings, and against our princes, and against the men of Israel and Judah. See, Israel and Judah, southern kingdom, to bring upon us, or southern and northern kingdom, to bring upon us great plagues, such as never happened under the whole heaven, as it came to pass in Jerusalem, according to the things that were written in the law of Moses, that a man should eat the flesh of his own son and the flesh of his own daughter. Now check this out. Moreover, he hath delivered them to be in subjection to all kingdoms that are round about us. So we were put in subjection to all the kingdoms that were in the midst of us, to be as a reproach and a desolation among all the people round about, where the Lord has scattered them, right? That's the point. Thus, we were cast down and not exalted, because we have sinned against the Lord our God, and have not been obedient unto his voice, to the Lord our God, appertaineth righteousness, but unto us and to our fathers open shame, as appeareth this day. For all these plagues are come upon us, which the Lord hath pronounced against us. These plagues is talking about the curses I read in Deuteronomy 28. One of those curses being that we'd be scattered among all the nations, right? And serving their other gods, because we sinned, right? That's the point. And it's in all kingdoms. Why do you think we preach this gospel everywhere, right? We got Israelites that are scattered everywhere around the world, man. All right, I actually did a video on this, because I'm sure I'm missing something, called A Jew and a Greek a year ago. I also did another follow called The Jew and the Greek. I don't know which one I did first, but yeah, y'all can go check them videos out for more information. All right, now, time to get into the judgments promised to the heathen for their violence against the Israelites. Let's see what I responded with in my comment. All right, this is the belt portion of the video where I titled this video, what? You heathens cannot run from this belt? Yeah, you can't. This belt is coming anyway, man. Anyway. So this is what I responded in the comment. Let's get to it. 1 second. I said, an increase in number of people. As a matter of fact, let's read it all back to back. An increasing number of people are putting emphasis on the fleshly roots of heritage and is fostering false supremacy. Right? I read that. Now let's go to here. I said an increasing number of people are exposing the truth. You can't Jedi mind trick me into thinking his looks don't matter. All non-Israelites are going into slavery for their mistreatment of the children of Israel, and that's pursuant to Isaiah 14:2, Revelation 13:10, Deuteronomy 30:7. Jeremiah 30:16, Psalms 149, 5-9, Obadiah 1:15, which I'm going to get all these scriptures in a minute. And it says, so go somewhere else with your manipulation. None of you devils ever spoke against the fake white Jesus, who was modeled after a sodomite. And now when we recess the truth, color don't matter. Get the fuck out of here, man. All right? So now we're going to get to the belt part. Let's get that. Bear with me 1 second. Now, time to get into the judgments promised to the heathen for their violence against the Israelites. Start at Isaiah 14:1. For the Lord yahawah will have mercy on Jacob. Who? Jacob. And will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them, and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord yahawah, for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. All right? This shall come to pass in the day that the Lord yahawah shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve. So that same hard bondage that we went through, guess what? You other nations got to go through it, man. All right? And these people try to be slick. Well, everybody didn't do that. That shit don't matter, man. All right, you had righteous Israelites during the time of our captivity, and yet they were still in captivity. They were still put into captivity, because the Most High judges nations. All right, and I might do a separate video on this when I get on the topic about this, but the Most High judges nations. All right, but nonetheless, continue. Revelations 13:9-10. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. All right, so if you put us in captivity, your ass is going into captivity. You kill with the sword, your ass is going to die by the sword, man. They don't want to deal with it, but it's written. All right, Deuteronomy 30:7 says what? I'm going to get this too, because this goes right into the lesson about us being scattered. Deuteronomy 30:7, or Deuteronomy 30:4. 7 is what I want, but 4 is where we're getting. If any of thine be driven out unto the utmost parts of heaven, from thence will the Lord yahawah thy God gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. And the Lord yahawah thy God will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good and multiply thee above thy father. So he's going to fetch us from all the places we've been scattered. And the Lord Yahweh thy God will circumcise thine heart and the heart of thy seed, to love the Lord Yahweh thy God with all thine heart, with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. Now check this out. And the Lord Yahweh thy God will put all these curses upon thine enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. So the curses of Deuteronomy 28 and in Leviticus 26, those curses are going to get reflected on our enemies. All right, Nehemiah 5:9 tells you that. Who are our enemies? The heathens. All right, also tells that in Psalms 83, 1-8. The heathens are our enemy. Period. But anyway, Jeremiah 30:16-17. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall what? Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them. Every one of them. What? Every one of them. Some of them. Every one of them. Most of them. Every one of them shall go into captivity. And they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all they that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, saith the Lord Yahweh, because they called thee an outcast, saying, This is Zion, whom no man seeketh after. Right? And no man seeketh after us, right? They try to say that we're this pariah, right? We're outcasts. And we are outcasts. We're outcasts from our land. All right, we're pilgrims on the earth. Guess what, though? All that devoured us are going to get devoured. All our adversaries, every one of them is going into captivity. All right, let's get Psalms 149. Starting at verse 5. Psalms 149, verse 5-9. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of God be in their mouth and a two-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all the saints. Praise ye the Lord Yahweh. All right, bind their kings in chains. What's that talking about? That's talking about going into slavery. Let's go to Obadiah 1:15. For the day of the Lord Yahweh is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. For as you have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yeah, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. They're going to be in the lowest state they've ever been in their life for what they did to the children of Israel. This is to what? Upon all the heathen. And let's get one more before I get up out of here. Let's get one more thing and break it down. Because I said something at the end, or he said something. Oh, yeah. I talked about fake white Jesus, right? Now, if sudden color don't matter. Even fake white Jesus was prophesied. All right. It was prophesied as well. These people were going to depict themselves as if they were the Lord, as if they were the angels, as if they were the apostles, man. So these people had no problem with the image of fake white Jesus, and it was written that they would try to make themselves God, and no other nation has done this to the degree in reference to the God of the Bible. Facts. Isaiah 14:14. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. They want to be like the Most High so bad. And it talks about this in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3 and 4. Check it out. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first. And this was talking about us being discontinued from our heritage and scattered among the nations. And that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. The man of sin are the Edomites. All right. Now check this out. This is what they do. Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he, as God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Now who shows himself that he is God? Ding ding, the so-called white man, right? They make the white angels, they make the white gods, they make all that. Yeah, they did that. So it spoke of this. So he has God sitting in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Here's him showing himself that he is God. Here's him showing himself that he is the angels, man. So, yeah, man. That's, like I said, there's a bunch of topics, but, yeah. Wrapping it up, you heathens can't run from this belt, man. Period. I don't care how many soft Israelites out there that try to save you. I don't care how many soft people, or how many people try to twist this and that. You nations are going to get was coming to you. That's thus saith the Lord, period. And if you're an Edomite, hey man, it's over for you, man. Go read Obadiah if you don't believe me. So anyways, man, with that, I'm going to close out. I'm going to say peace to the 12. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father, the Most High Yahawah, in the name of His only begotten Son, yahawashi. Yahawah's name, the Heavenly Father, who the world commonly calls God. And yahawashi is the Savior of the nation of Israel, the world commonly calls Jesus Christ. We'll say shalom, which means peace to people listening and learning. You brothers who in work, truth, sincerity. And to you elders who have been doing this thing before me, man. And yeah, I'm out. Peace.